Alright guys, welcome back. Got a special episode of TMC for you tonight. We're cracking open some pre-release kits. Gonna talk some pre-release strategy. Looks like we're having some camera issues here. Give me a minute to get this sorted out. Alright, we're back up. Alright. Nothing can go normal, Lotto, don't worry. Alright. Jump into the first pre-release kit. Get some action going here. See what we got. They make these things harder and harder to get into every time I look at them. So it folds open now. Got some counters. And the whole deck box slides out. Pretty cool. So, pre-release kit number 1. I haven't even seen the set symbol yet. Kind of looks like the invasion symbol. Get our packs. And we'll take a gander at that promo. Got the bird migration promo. I don't know if Spell Table is going to have these cards yet. Looks like it does. Alright. Alright, pack 1. Go. See. Got a foil. Rare is Namata. Did get the foil cleaving Skyrider though. Nice card for any limited or sealed format. That 3 mana flyer is always a critical card, especially if you're gonna. There's usually always one in white. If you like to build some flyers or just a deck that has some evasive creatures in it. Rest of the pack, we've got, look at this killer pack. We got everything for blue-white flyers over here. A lot of times whenever I'm doing any pre-release or draft, once I've got my cards pulled out, I'll usually color code the creatures to get started. And then later I'll come back and deal with the non-creature spells. But right now we got a lot of blue creatures already. We got a pretty good, we got 4 blue-white creatures that have flying already. One red card. So non-creatures I'll just throw aside for the moment. And we'll hang out with what we got. Pack 2. Got Golden Argosy. Whenever it attacks, exile each creature that crewed it this turn, return them to the battlefield. It has a crew of 1. You can crew it and have a creature to attack with, while also getting a Conjurer's Closet style effect. I don't know how good that is in limited. I suppose it's decent. Pre-triggering ETBs. Not sure that we have any great ETBs at the moment. We'll have to kind of check back in on our creature base before we build our deck to know whether that's going to be really useful or not. Rest of the pack, let's see what we hit. We did get the legendary uncommon, Lagomos. as I said, we'll review the non-creature spells once we get an idea what creatures we have to work with. That's technically the vehicle is a non-creature. So for this pack, we got a couple green guys getting green in the board here. We didn't have any green creatures in pack 1. One of those guys is a big Vigilance Trampler for 5, which is fantastic. I like my big stompy creatures to be around 5 mana if I'm playing. I like to build really low curve decks for limited. That way I can run 16 lands rather than 17. Which is kind of the format staple. Everyone will tell you to run 17. Alright. We did hit yet another blue flyer, pushing us to 4 blue flyers already. And then we even have a vigilant creature that as long as we cast an instant or sorcery, he's unblockable. So we got a ton of evasive blue threats. So it looks like our kit is really pushing us towards blue. On to pack 3. Sorry on the letter there. Had a rough cough for the past week or so. I try to catch myself as much as I can. Our rare in pack 3 is Leaf Crown Visionary, a Lord for elves. All other elves get +1/+1 whenever you cast an elf spell. You can pay a green. If you do, you can draw a card. More elf support. I love it. Play elves a lot back in the day. Modern. Let's see what creatures we've got this pack. Right, we did get a Rada as well this pack. Another legendary uncommon for us. Man, now that I got this Rada, I can play a whole playset of Radas in my Rada deck. 4 of them now. Right. Looking at the rest of our creatures, we did pick up another white flyer. We did get a black flyer as well. 2 of them actually. And one's has a pump. If we want to go with evasive creatures, we could go blue, either into blue-white or into blue-black. And what the rest of our packs hold. We got a big blocker on the ground that we picked up in blue. Our green creatures, got a couple elves. We don't have any real synergy going together in our green creatures yet. The enlist, I haven't seen this mechanic yet. So enlist, as this creature attacks, you may tap a non-attacking creature you control without summoning sickness. If you do, you can add its power to this creature's until end of turn. You can tap other creatures that don't have summoning sickness in order to pump a creature. Neat. Don't see a whole lot of combat trick like mechanics all that often. Dursey, I've gotten a couple rares. I got nothing blowing me out of the water yet. I've got this. I'll separate the rares that way everybody can see them still. I'll set them out over here. I've got a vehicle that allows you to flicker the creature that cruises it. So an ETB style deck might find its way into my Niv Mizzet deck. Namata, green black. I didn't actually read that card. So it's reach 3/4 for 4 mana. If a creature an opponent controls would die, exile it instead, so it turns off die effects. If you do exile that creature, you get to create a 1/1 green sapperling creature token. and then you can sacrifice a sapperling to give him +2/+2, or you can pay a black and 1, sacrifice 2 sapperlings, and get some card advantage. So he's a kind of a do everything. Pretty cool commander. He's a good budget commander. Turns off, I don't know how expensive he is actually. He might be, the card's actually rather good, honestly. 4 mana puts it in an interesting spot. So we're on pack 4 of kit number 1, Brennan. I got a couple of the stained glass lands already. I got a foil Cruelty of Gix. I've seen this card played on Arena here lately. Camera's a little out of focus, but not too bad. We also, so we got a double rare pack off that foil. And I even got a showcase style card here. So, Cruelty of Gix, Saga, nice foil, nice pickup. I'm gonna keep the rares over here. See, we've got the Haughty Djinn as our other rare for the pack. Equal to number of instant and sorcery cards in your graveyard, and he reduces sorceries, and he's 3 mana. With a 4 butt, and he flies. Does a little of everything. Another great flyer for our deck. We're definitely going to be playing blue with all the stuff that we pulled so far. And I'll get to this uncommon here in just a second. We got Nael, Avazoa Aeronaut. So a legendary creature, Elf Scout, has Domain. When if it deals combat damage to a player, you get to look at the top X, where X is the number of basic land types. And you get to put one of those on top of your library and the rest in the bottom on the bottom in a random order. Then if there are 5 basic land types among lands you control, you get to draw that card. So you get some card selection, and then if you're running the full 5-color deck, you get to draw that card as well, rather than just leaving it on top. As far as our commons and uncommons, other than that one, it should have another rare here. I think it was lost track of where it went. Our promo, Brandon, was the Herd Migration green card. We did pull that Djinn. Must have been a non-creature spell. Nope. No worries. Alright, for our commons and uncommons, we picked up some more creatures here. See what we got. Non-basic land pickup there. Alright, we got yet another blue flyer. You ask and the packs shall give. More green creatures. Decent sized body and a reach blocker. This light pile, I've seen it do a lot of work in Arena as well. If you get enough defenders, you can just build kind of a turtle deck that sits back and just drains your opponent down. Right now I'm kind of liking the blue-black spear, but we'll have to see what white cards. We picked up some more white cards, got some guys on the ground. We got a 3/2 for 3 that can pump. And we got a 2/2 that makes another body. And he can also do that enlist ability where he can pump himself up by tapping our other creature. Alright, on to packs 5 and 6. Oh, we got a rare, we got King Darien, whatever that number is. Super Bowl 53. So Darien, all other creatures, so an Anthem effect, he's going to buff all of our guys. It's only 3 mana, which is fantastic for a unrestricted Anthem effect. He also has an activated ability at instant speed. You can pay a green, white, and 3, put a +1/+1 counter on himself, and create a creature token. And then his final ability, you can sacrifice him to give all tokens you control hexproof and indestructible until end of turn. I have a feeling Brandon's going to be playing this guy in a particular deck I know pretty soon as a commander. Alright, looking into the uncommons and commons. See what creatures we've pulled. I'm not sure that there are blue creatures that don't fly in this set at this point. Alright. Looking into our creatures that we got out of this pack, we got a red flyer for 1 with haste. Quick, get in some damage, small, evasive. Probably not as good in sealed. For a creature that small, you're going to want to build that in maybe like a draft, a sealed. Those little creatures like that usually don't get enough of those kind of cards in one sealed pack, in one pre-release kit. But could be a great draft card, just probably not out of the ballpark for a regular sealed. Looking at the black creatures that we pulled, got yet another one of the black flyers that can pump. Goaltender can get us a creature back from the graveyard. And he's a 3/1 for 3, not the worst. Like I said, all the blue creatures fly. It's hard to turn them away. Card selection on an artifact creature. Got another white creature that can pump. And a reach blocker in green. Last pack for this set. Or for this kit, sorry. You got a stained glass land. Fantastic. Got a foil this pack. And a temporary lockdown is our rare for this pack. Three mana enchantment that when it enters the battlefield, you exile each non-land permanent with mana value 2 or less until it leaves the battlefield. 3 mana, I hate mana rocks. For commander, or just going to be a obnoxiously strong card, probably even modern. Probably see some sideboard hate in modern, or sideboard play in modern, sorry. Get rid of these non-creature spells for the moment. Get these creatures out here. More non-basic lands. We did get a legendary uncommon in this pack. We got Raph, the new version. This version of Raph is only a 2-drop. Azorius. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, you may tap 2 untapped creatures you control. If you do, draw a card. And then he has an activated ability at instant speed. You can pay double white and 3, giving your creatures +1/+1 and vigilance until end of turn. An interesting guy. Potentially a strong Azorius tokens commander. Alright, for our other creatures in this pack, we got another green elf. This guy's got trample. And he can be a 4/3 the turn he enters if you kicked him. And gets haste. Alright, for our black creatures that we pulled, we got a 2 mana 2/2, which you may say, oh, that's just awful, but in limited, you take your grizzly bears. All I gotta say. You play your 2 drops. This card's actually, what I've seen in limited so far from drafts and stuff, does pretty well. Gives you a lot of card selection. A lot of creatures die in the course of a limited game. Which dude looks like a Power Ranger, Brandon? The Vivisector, this guy? Oh, the green elf. Alright, we got for our white card here, we got a 2 mana 1/3, which is actually pretty good in a format that, like I said, most people will play a 2 mana 2/2, so if you're able to counter that with the 2 mana 1/3, then you got an unlimited blocker that'll stick around for most of the game. This one has Vigilance, so you can even get in for damage and then still have him up to block. And he has that neat enlist ability to be able to get pumped by his brothers in arms that he might have on his side. Last card I got here is another black defender creature, so he'll pair well with our other defender creature who can pay mana to deal damage equal to the amount of defender creatures you control. This one has the ability to sacrifice a creature to gain a life and draw a card. Can be pretty relevant. You do your blocks in limited, and you know your creature's going to die. Get a draw, get another creature into your hand, get ready for the next turn. That's kit 1 as far as creatures. I'm really liking the synergies and what we've got going on in our blue-black, so I'd probably be building a blue-black deck myself. We also get to play this blue rare, which is pretty much a slam dunk. Oh, the whole table just does not like me tonight, guys. Jump back into it. Alright. And then we also have our rare, the Cruelty of Gix, that we might be able to squeeze into the deck there. Just taking a quick look to see if our vehicle that gives us the flicker effect is going to be of any value. Our blue creatures. This guy only has value on ETB if he's kicked. So none of our blue creatures give us any ETB value. That one creature here gives us a mill 3. And I'm not sure that's something that we even care for. Super synergy of we can make ourselves lose 2 life over and over again. We did hit a Phyrexian Rager, so we do have an ETB draw card. That might be pretty good. For me, I think I'm just going to end up cutting this card. I'm not going to play it. Some people may even splash the white, given that we have a lot of decent white cards in our pool, or maybe even splash the green in order to get some of the big tramplers and use these reach spiders, things of that nature. Me personally, I don't like to splash a ton. There are some domain cards in this set, so it actually rewards you for splashing a ton in like your sealed pool. Yep. I personally don't like getting color screwed, and it's so easy to get color screwed in limited and sealed. So personally, I'm gonna just kind of look to see if I can do blue black. Really, I have plenty of creatures. I like to, like, at the minimum, I'll run, say, no less than 11 creatures, and that's like pretty low in general. So with what I have, I've already got in just blue, we've got 9 creatures, and all but one of those, 2 of those have flying, and one of the 2 that doesn't have flying has vigilance and can become unblockable. So a ton of evasion creatures in our blue. And then we've got a decent amount of flyers and such in our black creatures. So I'm pretty confident that we've got plenty of good cards to choose from in our blue-black. Let's look through our non-creature spells, see what value we've got here. If we reference our rares, I've kind of already grabbed the Cruelty of Gix to look at. So let's look at our blue and black non-creature spells here. Artifacts we can use as well. So unfortunately, a lot of our non-creature spells are white and red. So maybe if we are a player who's confident in being able to use non-creature spells, maybe play a decent amount of removal, play a low creature count, and play long games, we'd be confident in that. That's just not really the player that I am. At least not in limited. I mean, constructed, different story. You can, tweak the deck to get it just how you want it to be. In limited, I like to play the tempo deck, the deck that's making my opponent answer me. And then a lot of people only run, 7 or so removal spells. So I have 17 creatures. Eventually I have more creatures than they have removal, and then they die. Alright, so one thing I saw, Essence Scatter, pretty much a slam dunk in any limited format, because your opponent is most likely playing majority creatures, where a negate would probably be almost unplayable. Negate, I'm going to go ahead and pre-cut out of our deck. We did hit a second counter spell in Urtai Scorn, basically cancel with extra text on it. And we got a couple 2-mana cantrips, which most likely don't make the cut in a limited format. We got a couple Shadow Prophecies. Give me a second to bring that one up. The domain card, so for us, if we're only playing 2 colors, our X is only ever going to be 2. So we'd look at the top 2 cards of our library, and then we could put up to 2 of them into our hand and the rest into our graveyard, and we lose 2 life. So for us, it's pretty much a regular Read the Bones. 3 mana, Mind and Blood, Night's Whisper. Not the worst. We would probably just play the Impulses over this, just because they're a little bit faster and better selection. I'll go ahead and cut the Shadow Prophecies. Not too interested in those. Plus they make us lose life. We did get a Bone Splinters, so we got a creature removal spell. We also got a Cut Down, which pretty situational. I'm not sure how very useful it is in the format. We take a quick gander at some of our other color cards. We hit the 3/2s with it. The 2/3s with it. So it could be useful from time to time. Kind of hard to evaluate in a vacuum, looking at some of the creatures we got here. This set does have a fair amount of 3/2s and 2/3s, and makes that card pretty playable. Yeah. Last card we had here for our non-basic, or for our non-land, non-creature cards, are this Yoja's Restoration. Allows you to reanimate a creature from the graveyard. So for 4 mana, you can just reanimate. For 7 with the white, you can gain life equal to that card's mana value when you bring it back. If you don't kick it, then you lose life equal to its mana value. And then this card gets exiled. Just like me out of spell table for the 3rd time tonight. Yeah, let me look at the, y'all think I should splash the duels just to get extra domain? The new duels do have fetchable types, but they do intertap. So right now in our pool, I do have the plain swamp and the mountain plains, the mountain forest, and the island swamp. I'm good with maybe running these two. That would push me up to domain 3. I don't think I want to try to splash these almost unusable lands into my deck. I was probably going to end up splashing at least one white land, just so that I had the opportunity to kick this. Alright, what are multicolored creatures? Was there anything that we could play? We'd have to rely on getting the white for Raph, but I'm not sure that any of them are worth the splash that we'd have to do to play them. I kind of like what we've got. None of them really fit our game plan. Raph wouldn't be so bad because he has the pump ability. Carrying would be good because he has the Anthem, but I don't think I'm going to be able to reliably get white and green in my blue-black deck. I think those are pretty much cut already. We do have some options with colorless creatures. I'll kind of move them over to consider, and we do have 2 equipment that we could potentially use. Go ahead and move everything else out of the way. Look at cutting down and see what kind of deck we'd have at the end here. Not sure how great the cruelty of Gix can be. It can steal a creature from their hand. I'll bring it back up for you guys. We can start it off. It's a read ahead card, so it's like a saga, except that you can start it off anywhere. At some point, this will work. Maybe. Guess not. Alright, Cruelty of Gix, you can read ahead. We pay 5 mana, get a creature planeswalker from their hand, make them discard it. Or we could tutor right away and lose 3 life. Or we could just pay 5 mana and reanimate a creature. So potentially there's some value. It's going to be one of the hardest late game cards for us to cast. Most likely, not saying that we can't get to 5. You certainly can in limited. So we'll see. We'll probably end up playing it just because we're kind of light on our other cards. Let's look at our creatures, pick which creatures we're going to play, see how many slots that leaves us for our non-creature spells, and then finalize the deck. We'll move on to our pre-release kit number 2 after that. Brandon, you got my money count? You keeping track of my cards? See how much money I pulled? So this guy does have kicker red, but we don't really have any great red lands to play. Suppose we could play the red-white one, that way we have 2 white sources for our other kicker. And 1 red for that guy. Maybe we just need to play the filter land. Might need to play the filter land. We only got 1 copy of it. But we could play the filter land. I like that better than playing the white-red. Alright, so we're just going to curve out our creatures, see where they stand, see how we like our creature curve, and then that'll kind of inform us on which non-creature spells we can play to kind of fit into our curve and what we think we're going to have to do. So for instance, like if we know we got big creatures and we're going to have to try to get multiple colors, we probably want those impulses that we had for card selection to try to find the color lands that we want. Alright. Our artifact creatures are interesting. I hadn't covered those yet. I've got this guy. He's a 2-mana 1/3, which is a fantastic blocker, and it doesn't matter what 2 lands we can get him out. But he has an ability that you can mana fix. So I think that guy's a slam dunk for our deck. And then our other guy here, he's a 3-mana 3/2 that can scry 2 when he enters. We'll go ahead and put him into the list here for consideration, but he may not be good enough, especially since he dies to one of the main removal spells in the set. Alright, we got all our blue flyers out. I'm going to kind of evaluate our black cards here. Light pile's fantastic. Got 2 of the 4-mana 2/2 flyers that can pump. I've seen this 5-mana vampire do some work in some of the games I've seen. Got a Rager for some card draw. 2-mana 3/2. Not the worst, but we probably don't want to be flickering him. And then we got a 3-mana 3/1 as well. Remember, for your limited decks, you're only going to have, like I said, I like to push it down, push my curve down, play a Lord of the Ground deck. That way I can play 16 lands. With that in mind, though, you're going to curve out and maybe only be able to play 2 2-drops a turn or a 4-drop. That'll be like kind of your decision tree. Am I going to play 1 3-drop or 2 2-drops? That's kind of where you're going to get stuck at for a while. Knowing that my game plan is what it is, I want to kind of evaluate this to to see whether it's something that's feasible for me to have to hold on to until I get to 6 mana, or decide later on that I would rather just have a card that's castable way earlier in the game. For me, it's a 4/4 flyer. When I cast instant or sorcery spell, choose 1. I can pump him once. I can exile him and return him to the battlefield, or scry 1. Most likely in a limited game, 6 mana. Most likely I would, given that I'm trying to push my deck down to 16 lands, and also only going to run maybe 7 non-creature spells that could possibly trigger him, knowing that I'm probably playing some enchantments and artifacts in those 7 non-creature spells. I'm gonna say there's a chance maybe I trigger him once ever. I'm not real big on this guy, so I'm probably gonna cut him. Play the black vampire as my top end here instead. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 14 15 16 17 18 19. At 19 creatures, 17 is usually where you want to be. For now, I want to evaluate whether I have non-creature spells that are better than the creatures that I have out in front of me. I'm going to be able to play with my land count at 16. Chat can argue all they want. 16 works for me. 16 lands would give me 24 other cards, giving me a 40 card deck, leaving me with 19 creatures at the moment. So that would give me 5 non-creature spells, sorry. So what are my auto includes? I probably want the 2 counter spells. I probably want the 2 removal spells. And then I think I play the Cruelty of Gix just for pure value. And then the rest of these I have to consider what I'd cut in order to play them. So I haven't really looked at the artifacts. We've got 2 artifacts. They're both equipments. I've got a 1 mana equipment that equips for 2 that gives a creature +2/+0. Given that we're running so many flyers, I don't hate it. We can put that on a flyer, and if they don't have removal, then they just start taking like 4 damage a turn, no blocks. We also have the Hero's Heirloom Sword, which is a 2 mana equipment that equips for 2. Gives +2/+1, and also if that creature is legendary, it gets trample and haste. We're actually not playing any of our legendary creatures that we pulled. So I'm not as big on that. I do kind of like the Vanquisher's Axe just because we can get it on a flyer pretty easy and start getting in for some pretty important damage. I do think I want to try to squeeze in our Shieldred's card and then probably not play the Impulses and keep a fair amount of creatures in the deck. I'm thinking I'm looking at maybe the 4-drops that I have. Fair amount of 4-drops here. We want just the pure density of flyers. I think I'm losing the turtle just because he doesn't fly. Alright, since Nick wants to verify that 17 lands are the play, what do you cut for the land, Nick? Oh, sorry, I got that one card over all the cards. These are all creatures over here. And we got our non-creatures across the top here. So 6, 7 2-drops. Pretty much always gonna have a 2-drop to play. Potentially even swarming the board on turns 3 and 4 with, you know, ending on turn 4 with maybe 5 creatures on the board. $13, $17, $18. Looks like we've got 7 non-creature spells that we want to play, so I do need to look at cutting one more. I think it has to be one of the 4-drops. Here I like going down. I'm actually going to cut this 3-drop just because it's the least synergistic card in the deck. It was a 6-drop, Nick. I kind of like this deck. Unfortunately, I don't have anyone to play against. But we'll go ahead and move on to cracking open the next. We've got 3 lands to filter. We've got a creature that can filter. In order, we could have domain of 3 if we wanted to play the domain cards. I didn't actually include any of the domain cards. Pretty strong, evasive deck.